What's up, athletes? I hope you are all doing well. I've been thinking quite a bit about what could be useful to each of you right now with where you're at. Some of you have races that are less than 2 weeks away, others in less than 3 weeks, and it's the NICA season, which is kind of a lot of your focus, is right around the corner. And I've been thinking about what has been helpful for me, what helped me to have good NICA seasons, what were the fundamentals, or maybe some subtle differences that could maybe be that difference of 1 or 2%, which is going to be a really big deal at this point in the season. And the thing that came to mind for me today, and actually this took me a couple days to think about it, so I was going to record this yesterday, but kind of didn't really know what I was going to talk about. I was trying to think what could be helpful. So finally today I had a realization that one of the biggest impacts for me and my performance has been yoga. And the first time I really started to think about this or consider the value of yoga was in, I think, 9th grade, maybe even 8th grade when we did some in PE. And it felt really good. I enjoyed the process. I was thinking about it. And I did some research and I started to learn, understand that really the only commonality from a physical standpoint among all professional athletes, so you can take football players, basketball players, runners, bikers, tennis players, skiers, you name it, the one commonality is that they all do yoga. That's it. I mean, they all eat and sleep and everything, but like the one physical commonality from a training standpoint is yoga, because it's so fundamental to injury prevention, to longevity and performance, and perhaps even more important than each of those is what it does for you mentally. It does such a good job recharging you in an effective way that's healthy and it's really replicable. It can continue to have benefits. And I've gone in waves of my success in consistently doing yoga. And I've seen from my own experience that when I am consistently doing yoga, whether that's once a week or 2 or 3 times a week, but as long as it's consistent and somewhat regular, I perform a lot better. I feel better. I sleep better. I recover better. It kind of is similar to good nutrition, where it has a lot of the same benefits. And you need to really have all of those things in sync to be able to race at your best level. And I've had friends who have done the same thing. I had a really good friend who won state championships her senior year in girls in 2019. And she said the same thing. And her mom said the same thing, that she noticed for sure that when she was consistently doing yoga, she was consistently performing better. And while she was at BYU one semester, she took yoga classes that she could continue to do that. And it seems simple, and you might be wondering, well, why do you not put yoga into training peaks then? And I can, and maybe I should, and I have historically a little bit, but I found that most of you weren't really doing it, or you weren't recording that you were doing it. And so I can start putting those in again. But I think also there's something about kind of you going out there and doing it yourself, doing it for you, right? If I put it on training peaks, you can almost be doing it for me, potentially, doing it for you, but it's kind of to check a box. Versus if you go and do yoga with intrinsic motivation, meaning doing it for you with the motivation to feel better in general and also on the bike, then I think that will have the maximum impact possible. So if you'd like me to put it on for you, or to maybe show you some examples, you can message me and I can absolutely do that. But I think really, like I said, I think for the maximum benefit, you're going to go find out, and you're going to find out which ones you like. I really like yoga with Adrian. And then kind of, I guess, another sort of plug-in for just yoga in general is it doesn't need to be complicated. These can be short 10-minute, 15-minute yogas. You don't need to be doing crazy moves. You don't need to be stretching like crazy, because it really is as much for your body, for your mind as it is for your body. There's something about syncing up your breath with movement that transfers extraordinarily well toward mountain biking. And I think part of it is that in a mountain bike race, when you're at your threshold or above, the way you breathe is going to be really fundamental to performing well, to be able to continue to push a really high heart rate for a long time. And there's a bunch of different breathing techniques that can help with that. There's the 2 out, 1 in. There's just the kind of in and out. You can kind of do it however you'd prefer and practiced. But there's something about practicing that in a really calm and flow state, which yoga brings in, with syncing up your breaths with movements. You can do a downward dog synced with nice breath, and the mountain pose, and lots of variety of stretches, and they will lead those through. They're honestly just available everywhere on YouTube. It's super simple to do yoga at home these days. And so from my experience and from what I've seen from other people, you can look at, Kate Courtney, Sugar, all these guys, the world's best athletes, they're doing yoga. The world's best cyclists are doing yoga. And I remember one thing that stood out to me too was I was watching some highlights from the Cape Epic in like 2018 probably, and Jenny Rizveds was racing it that year, and they were winning. And I remember part of her like pre-race warm-up was doing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And it's such a simple thing, right? I don't think very many people are going to be doing head, shoulders, knees, and toes as part of the warm-up routine. But there was something about moving her body in such a way that was different than being on the bike that kind of loosened things up. It's almost like, imagine your bike chain. If you could have an XX1 or an XTR bike chain, a really, really great, strong, good working bike chain, and that could be like your body. But if you never lube it, if you never lube your chain, it's not going to work so hot. It's going to rust up. It's going to start shifting poorly. It's going to be a bad chain. And I feel like yoga is almost like the lube, like lubing your chain. As lube is to your chain, yoga is to the body. And it allows us to function smoothly, allows us to shift easily. When you do yoga, you realize, oh, there are parts of me that haven't been stretched in a long time. I just finished a 10-minute yoga session, and right before I made this video, and I was like, man, I had no idea that my hips were so tight. And I wouldn't have known that unless I did some yoga and was stretching them out. And you find things like that, and you can fine tune them, and it allows you to be more aware of your body. And I'm not saying you need to go to a yoga studio and spend an hour 3 times a week. This is like, if you do this twice a week for 10 minutes, you will see improvements in your overall performance. So that was the first thing I was really thinking about, was yoga. If you're looking for that extra step, like I remember my senior year, I was just like, I want to do everything and anything and everything that could possibly make me faster. And this is one of those things where it can make a pretty substantial difference. The other thing I was thinking about is, now is the time to bring your bike into the shop. Even if it's working well, even if things are functioning good, don't wait until the day before or a couple days before. Bring it in now, have them do a full inspection, make sure the headset's good to go, all the bolts are tightened. If there's any creaking, figure that out. Check the chain length, make sure that's good. Check cables and housing. Maybe service your suspension if you haven't done that in a while. These are all things I need to do to be better at, but I'm reminding you as well that now is the time to get the bike looked over. Don't wait until right before when it's stressful. You want to make sure everything is just dialed and ready to go. So if you have questions about that, you can also reach out to me, but I hope that makes sense. So thanks for watching. If you have questions, text me or comment below, but do yoga for real. It's amazing.